Okay, so another thing I love about Bitwig is the grid. The grid, I would say, is actually the best software modular out there. Not the most flexible, not the most powerful, but in terms of ease of use and just throwing stuff together, it's brilliant. And I say that as someone who's, been a programmer for, well, I've worked with Macs, I've written lots of things in Macs, I've written things, well, created things in Reactor, and I've got various VSTs that do modular stuff. In fact, when I first actually got the grid in Bitwig 3, I didn't even open it for ages because I thought, what's the point? I've got all this modular stuff, I don't need another one. Well, it turns out I was wrong. So let me show you why. So first thing, I'll open one up. Polygrid. This is only going to be a very, very basic walkthrough because there's other videos on YouTube that are much better than this. And you get this, which just shows you the basic shape of what you've got. So you click on it, and one of the first things you might notice is how little stuff there is here. So there's not a pitch in, there's not a gate in. They all seem to just be implied. Well, it's not so much implied as it is you have these things called pre-chords. So see here, right? Right, that's just playing a few notes. If I turn this off, that's me playing lots of different keys, all the same note. That's because that's a pre-chord to pitch in. Same here, we've got a pre-chord to gate here. As you can hear, nothing. There you go. You don't necessarily have to use this. In fact, you can manually put it in, plug it in, and take that off, and then you just have that affect everything, and right, or obviously by a certain amount. So we'll get rid of that because we don't need it. And okay, so the other thing you'll notice is there's just one out, and that's because every single thing here is stereo. I can give you an example of that by clicking this, which means that each one will just be a plus and a minus, as you can hear now. That's gone stereo. And that applies to everything. So LFOs, the lot. Another thing that's really good is, so if I set this and I go, actually, I've changed my mind, I don't want a triangle, I want a sawtooth. If I pull it through, you'll see these haven't changed. That's because it recognises that that's a similar type of thing, and it just wants to keep those there, which is a fantastic shortcut. The other thing you'll notice as well, if you use to other modulars, is there's not a huge amount of cable ins. You might go, okay, well, how do I actually do anything? Well, it's easy. You grab an LFO, and if you watched the video I did on modulators, then you might recognise this guy. And this is used in the same way. So you just click on it, and then you go, I want to modulate the skew. Simple as that. So there you go, we just created something very simple. And say well, obviously we don't want just an AR envelope, do we? We want an ADSR envelope, so let's change that to an ADSR, put the delay a bit more. Okay. And then one thing you'll notice here is this isn't modulating anything. This has a built-in amplifier. So it just goes directly in. Just makes life a little bit easier. That's the thing with this, is there's so many little changes that just make things a lot easier than they would in a normal modular system. So if I do this plus minus here, then you do get a stereo LFO signal as well. Which isn't altering anything in a minute, but that's because there's just the one thing, and that's because that's not in stereo mode, that's right. Yeah. Obviously there's various modules which can be just put in place, so Chebyshev is just a form of distortion. Oh, that's one thing that was worth showing you actually. If you want to connect something between two things, you don't have to worry about wires, you can just drag it to that input and it'll go in between the two. Same as if you delete it, the wire goes back. Just other things that are a little bit short, just save you a bit of time. So let's just stick another oscillator in just for the hell of it. And now you might be thinking, okay, can you just do two of these? No, you can't. And that's where you use mixers, as you would in any other modular. The one thing that's really nice about these is you don't have to choose like a 5 mixer or a 4 mixer or anything like that. All you do, see this? You just pull it here, boom, another one. You can do another oscillator, and then, you know, boom, another one. Easy, you know. The one thing about these as well is you will actually get a display of what it's doing. So the LFO here, if you have a look here, you'll see that's the signal out from the LFO. If I slow that LFO down, see that gets longer and longer. And that just helps you kind of figure out what you might have missed, what's going wrong. Also you can see anything that it's actually modulating. So in here it's modulating the skew of the sine, so what I'll do is I'll do something else. I'll modulate the pulse width and I'll modulate the sync on this. I'll just pull that up because that's obviously bidirectional at the minute. So there you go. So that's some of the very, very simple basic stuff. The one thing that's also very good is any piece of data is compatible with any other piece of data. So as opposed to in something like Reactor where note things can only go into note things, audio things can only go into audio things, in this you can put anything into anything else. So for example, if I get something like a pitch quantize, and what I can do is actually get the output from this sine, and that was probably a bad example. But yeah, so let's have a look. Data. I'm pretty sure this should work. Yeah. Oh, of course, because that's coming from. Hang on, that needs to be out of that actually. So you can see there, it's taking you out and going, okay, I am now going to do this at that speed, which is great. And if we want to be absolutely crazy, we can just feed that back into there, I think. Oh no, it's probably because the data's coming out of there. So let's just take another oscillator. Turn it up, take the pre-chord out, and then let's put that through another ADSR. I'll just control and hold to do that. Drag away. Another mix we're going to need for this. Okay, and you go in there. So we should get some. That's probably super loud, so sorry, I'll turn that down. But you get the idea. It's like it's very, very flexible. There's lots of things you can do with it. You can do in the I/O. You can do an audio sidechain in. You can do hardware in. You can even do CV out for any of your hardware stuff. And the good thing, you can just change anything into anything else, and that's what's so flexible about it. That's what's so good. And of course, you know, if you want to modulate something outside here because you want to say put it into an effect, then what you can do is you can just use modulators like we did last time. So we can use this LFO here and use that to modulate the speed. So we'll take that, we'll slow that down so we can hear it happening. Actually, I'll turn this all the way down. Oh, a bit faster than that, eh? There you go. Ooh, so yeah, so it's really, really flexible. Lots of things you can do with it. You even have a full sampler there. Obviously at the moment it's set to mono. You can change that here to as many notes as you like. You can also do voice stacking, so you can stack 5 voices. We'll take that down again. And you might go, oh, nothing much is happening. Well, that's right, because you've got this modulator now, you've got this voice stack spread, so you can change the let's just do the obvious and change the pitch depending on the voice stack on that one, and on this one too. And let's just change the sync on a couple of things as well. So you could do all sorts of things here, really. Anything you're not sure of, you just click on it. You get the idea, like I say, you get the actual output of what's coming out, and you can show help, and that will give you what everything does. And the thing is, like I say, everything is modulatable just by basically choosing it. So yeah, AD envelope, it's already got a gate pre-chord, as we know. I'll pop that to pop the volume up on it, and you can see it happening there. Yeah, so you can just make stuff really, really quick, and that's what's so great about it. And because you can change anything with anything else, you can use audio as a modulator. Obviously you've got random things here which are great. As much math and logic as you want, really. And yeah, oh, I guess putting a filter in is not a bad shout. I'll put a filter in after the, oh, hang on, let me choose a filter, eh? I'll put a filter in after this mix, and there you go. I just did that, took 2 seconds. Come on, draggity drag. Here's where, oh, there you go. That's the visual thing. There you go. So it's building your own synths is almost as quick as just using a VST, and that's one of the things that's absolutely brilliant about it, in my opinion. Anyway, I've gone on for long enough, so there you go. That's me. There you go.